Thank you all for joining us. I am Jenny, and welcome to our very first How to Be Light Truth Talk. I am Jenny, as I said, and I'm a Buddha yoga instructor, and filmmaker living in Asheville, North Carolina. And this is Sherry Fields.
Hi.
She is also a Buddha yoga instructor, a massage therapist, business owner, and pretty much one of the most phenomenal women I've ever met in my life. To be completely honest with y'all, she is a light in my life, and she is here to be a true slayer with me, basically.
A true slayer.
That is what we're doing today. I want to bring some attention to our smoothies here.
Oh, yes.
Let's cheers it up. These
Cheers.
are from Elements in Asheville.
Delicious.
I drink them often.
Yeah.
And they're very good.
Very good.
So shout outs to Elements for the hot flavors, the cold flavors. What we're going to talk about today on this very first Truth Talk, we're diving deeply into health because that is the subject of the day. And everybody wants to be healthy, but a lot of us are struggling with what it takes to get there, defining what health is, and just fully encompassing that in our lives and keeping health right up there. And really it's important to start with defining what is a healthy lifestyle? What does that look like for you, and what do you kind of strive for in your life? And we can kind of riff on that for a little while.
What is a healthy lifestyle? That is a great question. What does it look like to me? I mean, the central term that comes to mind is balance. Finding some way to balance all the pillars, if you will, of life.
Yeah.
So a financial balance, an emotional balance, a physical balance with your actual physical body, a mental balance, so your psychology being healthy and appropriate, and so there's many different tiers. Environmental balance, making sure that the people and the places that you allow into your energy keep you balanced as well.
That's true.
From the outside in as well. That's kind of what it means to me, is just consummate balance between everything all together.
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and both of the things, I'm kind of building and I'm managing what I already have.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are probably in that situation as well. But really growing up these brands and growing up these ideas and trying to take those passions and make them, earn you money, because in the end, that's a really great synergy of things. So I know for me, one of the best things there's several things I would break up that really helped me sort of understand what a healthy lifestyle was and then pursue it. And one of the first things was when I started eating vegan plant-based diet. It kind of opened everything up. And it really allowed me to take care of myself really and truly and understand what was going in my body for the first time. Because up until then, it was a lot of Diet Cokes, it was a lot of chicken nuggets, it was a lot of mindfulness was not really popping back then. So really trying to bring that back into focus, or really make it a thing for the first time, really. And then the second thing that really helped me a lot was taking that leap from working. I went to school for a really long time, actually in my 20s, and then had that first job really that you'd say was like your full-time job, working 40 hours a week, and also trying to do videography on the side. And I was like running around like a crazy person, and that sort of busy lifestyle is like what characterized my entire life, because I was so driven to go and do all the things, and to become successful. And so when I decided to put away the working for someone else and building their dream and start trying to understand what is my dream, work with what I got, and then allow myself to develop as a person. And that's when yoga came in, And so being able to be an entrepreneur a business owner really for the past 3 years and sustain myself on my own has been, I think, one of the greatest prides towards health, because I get to build my own schedule and live my own life, and it comes with a whole lot of challenges, but I really feel like those decisions really helped get me to this place where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good here, I can breathe. Every day I'm looking to do more, but these two main choices really made a big difference for me. And I don't know, with you also being a business owner, how you can relate to that and what you may have done or are doing.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, having worked for a really long time, since very young, 13, 14, just constantly working, constantly striving to succeed, being in college, doing all the things, and having internships and having jobs and multiple jobs and choir and all these different things, I kind of got myself into a habit over the years from being a teenager of, like you said, just pushing constantly. And I couldn't agree more about just the fact that when you decide to look into your own creative endeavors and spend your time on the things that are coming from the inside out, it forces you to put a lens on everything you're going to need to do to make that happen. For me personally, and it's not the same for everyone, but for me personally, just having a 9 to 5 or just working for someone else, like you said, it kind of lent itself to complacency. And I would have many days where it was like all I could do was go into work and get done and come home, maybe have a glass of wine and, whatever else. But
living for the weekend.
But exactly.
Even then, sometimes,
Exactly.
What am I even doing this
Even
weekend?
then, it's like there is no
rest
weekend.
now.
Yes.
Laundry,
Exactly.
gym tan laundry
Gym
type
tan
style.
laundry.
Taking it back to the Jersey Shore.
Exactly.
For you.
Fist pumps.
Felt like
yes.
we really needed to do that.
We had to go there. Y'all. But but it really helped me focus wholeheartedly and in a well-rounded way, and put a lens on my entire life, because when you're running your own business and all the things fall down on you, you're your own accountant, you're your own payroll, you're your own, fill in the blank, the list goes on and on. When you have to fill all those roles, and then you have a big picture that you're trying to create, whether it be a brand or a product or, a service or whatever have you, if you're not balanced in as many ways as possible, you'll begin to falter in certain areas. You'll begin to deteriorate, and similarly, you'll begin to lose focus and get really tired, disillusioned. And I did enough of that, earlier on in the journey, and now I'm like, okay, I really actually do have to make sure I get the rest I need. Have to make sure I get the food that I need to nurture my body and have energy. Have to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people who lift me up and encourage me to strive and to thrive like you do. And so I think, even though it's a lot of work, it's been a blessing just kind of going for your own thing, being an entrepreneur.
Go for your own.
It's held health in the highest regards, and not being afraid.
Or being afraid and just doing it anyway,
just
kind of thing,
anyway.
Fighting through it.
Yes.
I was thinking too, as far as health, I've especially over the years been able to start to understand what that means truly. Yes. Because I think, growing up in being in this society, it's a lot about weight loss. It's at all costs, whatever else happens. It's a lot about how hard can you exercise and this and that. But to me, true health, it's about a lot of different things. But is my body in disease? Am I feeling a lot of ailments, even in my muscles, in my all the areas in my body? Am I constantly sick, or am I getting hurt all the time trying to lift things or do things because maybe I'm overdoing it in the gym, sitting too much? So personally with me, I'd say one of the biggest things that I'm working with right now through my own health, and this has been a journey for a while, but especially right now, with teaching Buddha Yoga, of course, we teach together Buddha Yoga in Asheville, North Carolina. So Buddha Yoga is a high-intensity yoga class that incorporates tribal dance, different types of plyometrics. So we really go very hard, but it's a beautiful practice, and it really allows you to detox. And anyway, we love it. So there's that. But as a teacher, I kind of went from being somebody who sat about 8 hours behind a computer doing my videography work and editing on my computer to finding this Buddha Yoga, deciding to get certified, and I eased into it. And for the first year, I had no physical problems to speak of, just your typical, you get sore and all that little stuff because you're working. And I saw so many positive changes. But recently, we've been talking about this a lot because Sherry's been, one of my greatest allies in this process of my SI joint coming out of place so much so that I've had to really take that step back and have that self-care. So what I'm realizing more and more, which I sort of knew before, but it's coming back around that you have to wake up and deal with this, is that the way that I have been sitting on a computer and sitting behind a desk and then asking my body to go perform exercise, it's the lifestyle. You know, the exercise is helpful and it does so many great things for me on an emotional level and on a physical level as well. But what happens is what we spend our time on throughout that day has to be geared towards our health and having a bigger movement profile, a more vast movement profile. Actually, I've been listening to a good podcast about that, and it's helping me to understand that healthy is how you feel moment to moment throughout your day, and it's not just one category, you know, like, oh, well, I have abs of steel. Well, that's good, but what else, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love how you put that. That's wonderful. And I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it becomes a situation where you have to be in as relentless a pursuit of self-care and regular care for yourself and nurturing as you are the high levels of activity or the deadlines or, you know, the stack of paperwork or whatever has to be done. We have to become just as insistent and just as what's the word I'm looking
Steadfast.
for? Yeah, just as steadfast. That's perfect. About making sure that we find ways to use the foam roller regularly, take Epsom salt baths. I mean, there's tons and tons of things we can do to care for ourselves, but making sure that it becomes a part of the work so that the work is good.
So true. So you're not just out there grinding and forgetting about the rest.
So we're not just in these streets
I
dying.
know. I know we've talked a lot about, and I want to move forward into some of the ways that we can each share how we're working through these problems that people have, that we all have. But just briefly, I've always really been intrigued by your ability to heal yourself. And you have a story about, you know, what you've been through at times where you were running around and what are the consequences of running around? Because not all of us have had that happen yet. And it's important that we know, you know, what can happen when we don't take the time to slow down. And it looks different for each person, you know? Absolutely.
Well, I've been interested in and studying natural health for over 10 years, and it sort of parlayed itself into a bodywork and massage therapy career. Now it's turning into a yoga career, teaching other people how to move freely and open up their bodies, lubricate their joints through movement. And so in that time, like we said earlier, in that pursuit, there have been moments where I'm just go. And you would be surprised, even as a massage therapist, someone whose job it is to help other people slow down and heal and become mindful and meditate and breathe. There are times where your relentless pursuit of achievement, especially as a solo business owner, will cause you to push yourself way past the limits. So it was a couple years ago, I think it was summer 2016, I think. And I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, doing all the massages, saying no to nothing, doing all the events. You know, I also had a full-time job with a physical therapy office here in Asheville, and it was just so much all at the same time, all at once. So at some point, I could really feel the pressure, and it was at that point that I decided, hey, I'm going to work strictly for myself, only for myself, no one else. And it was almost as soon as I made that decision that I was stricken with all these mystery symptoms.
Oh my God.
And this full spectrum, just mystery illness gripped me like I don't even know. And I was down for a good 8 months with many symptoms that mimic a lot of my autoimmune patients and people who are dealing with, again, mystery stuff that doesn't have an allopathic explanation. I was dealing with myalgic pain, chronic fatigue. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I was having serious sleep problems and, mild emotional and mental mood issues, and just it was really intense. That is the lightest of the symptoms. They really went on and on and on, and it took for me to really take a step back. Again, for a good 8 months, I worked as little as possible, and I put every single thought, every single piece of effort that I could possibly muster at the time, which wasn't much other than trying to get some rest.
Yeah.
But I put all of that effort into finding a way to rebalance my body because it was trying to tell me something. And I think we so often get to the point where the body starts, knocking on the door, tapping on the door a little bit, trying to tell us something, and we ignore it.
We're like, bye.
That's exactly what I did.
Worse.
Yes, I ignored it. It got worse and worse and worse. And it was through a sincere focus on healthy foods, again, getting rest. That was a huge one for me, is making sure I got that rest. And everyone is different. Getting the rest that makes you feel like you got what you needed when you wake up.
Yes, that's true, because I sleep like a really long time. And people will judge me, and
I love my sleep.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to judge myself when I hit the pillow and I feel good.
That's right.
I appreciate your point of view, but I need to go to sleep.
Yes. You have to get the rest. I mean, especially at that point in time, I was sleeping up to 10 hours in a night, just making sure I got that rest because it was such a struggle to feel rested when I woke up. Well, long story short, it ended up being that I was dealing with some Epstein-Barr virus issues. It can be reactivated through stress, high stress situations like a death in the family, a breakup, or just running and running and running to exhaustion without giving yourself those regular breaks. Through that process, I just kind of learned that even if it hurts, even if I really want to be doing this, there are times where I have to stop and rest.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, being able to give 100% of myself is better than being able to give, a little bit of myself all the time. Yeah, I'd rather give. Yes. I'd rather be a blessing and a joy every time I come to someone's life than have it be, a half attempt at, changing people's lives for the better. That's just not, I can't abide that. I can't get down with that. So I had to make some changes. It was
and I can relate because with, not being able to practice yoga quite as hard or quite as fully, not being able to fully express myself in the poses or in the practice. And it's okay because I've already learned a great deal, and we all know that I'm learning through this process. This is teaching me what other students will be dealing with. It's also teaching me how to take better care of my own body. Like what are the, everybody has consequences for their life. It sounds bad, but it's like you travel through life, you play sports, you sit, you do this, whatever it is, there's gonna be some toll on your body, and I figure I'm in my 30s now. I have a good shot to turn some of these things around and also find gratitude in the things that I have done that have been helpful to my body.
Giving yourself that credit, giving yourself that love, that nurturing, which in this society we are definitely reluctant to do. Once we start getting stressed, I've kind of developed a little trick in my brain where I kind of turn off those negative voices by thinking about the things that I have done to get myself to this point where I'm so stressed out. What accomplishments have gotten me to this stressful point? So, if I'm thinking my schedule's so full, I'm so tired, blah, 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 I'm thinking, or if I'm feeling like I'm under accomplishing something, I'm thinking, well, you are running your own business on your own. You are, making enough to provide a future for yourself and the people you love and save money a little bit. You are helping people change their lives for the better. So you have to really put it in perspective. And I think it's important for us to remember that the mental and emotional nurturing has to be, it has to be happening on a regular basis.
I definitely appreciate that from you as a massage therapist, because we've talked a lot about, when you go to get anything done to your body that's more clinical, you're not getting the central nervous system attention. You're in and you're out, and so when you work with somebody who is able to nurture you and to take care of you in that way, it's really needed and it's really appreciated, because I can tell I talk about it all the time to people, because you've also been able to help me see that through the process. And I was interested because, I think, what I've been dealing with the sitting so much and whatnot. I have some things that I feel like I want to work on, and then I have some other things that I've been able to maybe provide a tip to others on. So I didn't know if you had, what are you working on and improving in your life now to balance yourself, whether, through health, whatever, something in regards to health that you feel like you're really working on improving?
Wow, that's a really good question. For me, it's kind of come full circle where a couple years ago it was trying desperately to make sure I got enough rest, trying to make sure that I was going slow enough and taking it easy enough and nurturing myself enough. And now I'm at this point where the balance feels like it is going to require constant joyousness and uncomfortability. Being uncomfortable at the same time. How did those two make friends? So those moments where you're thinking, oh, I'm really nervous or I'm scared to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to bring my full self into it, and I'm going to enjoy something that is totally outside of my box and keep pushing for the truest expression of my creative self. That's the tier or the pillar or the part of health that I'm focusing on right now, is making sure that I let my true self shine. I let those colors, be seen to the world, because myself, all of us, we tend to hold back the things that aren't traditionally looked at as something that is worthwhile.
Smiling really big because I almost put up a post on Instagram today. It's something about let your colors color the sky or something. I don't know. It's a little bit better, but it just came to me. And the fact that you just went there is pretty cool.
I've been having a lot of that in life too, a lot of synchronicity. Again, right now is focusing on the creative and the spiritual journey, and it is opening me up hugely emotionally, turning me into a more honest person. I feel like I was honest before, but now I'm so much more honest with myself that it's really helped me to be honest with other people in a way that truly benefits them.
So it sounds to me like your tip to everybody else, something you're working on, is finding the joyousness in all of it. But it sounds to me like your tip is, what'd you just say? God, it left my head.
Basically, you're needing to look inside, let out the creative part of yourself, not hold back those things that don't seem like they're as desirable in the society we live in. Looking into your spiritual self, if you have.
How can people do that? Because what I notice is we have a lot of, some of us that are working through that, maybe we've been working through it for a little while, we're still working on it. But how can we help someone else who is just hearing all this stuff about self-love and I want to love myself, but how? What can I do tangibly on this earth? What do I read? What do I see? What do I participate in? Or is it not about what I do? Is it about what I'm exposed to? Is it about what I say no to? I don't know. But if you any of those things that have worked for you as a tip for anybody, if you could just pick one thing to just lay it on us.
A good start that sort of helped me go deeper was getting used to being by myself. I got to the point where I was seeking out times where I would be by myself in a quiet space where I had to face whatever was in my head or in my heart or whatever. There are tons of distractions, and some of them are not as fun, and some of them are great, and some of them are fun but maybe not too healthy for us. But there are tons of distractions. We can find them wherever we want to look, and sometimes we utilize distractions to keep us from dealing with ourselves.
How did you eliminate some of them? Just by acknowledging
distractions?
What did you do exactly?
I literally would have, there would be a day or two where I would just not say anything around the house. My partner is amazing for this, but I would do my own kind of silent retreat and just or I'd lock myself up in a room and meditate and really have to be in there and deal with it.
Totally.
Really? I mean, I read that book a long time ago, but
his name right, but I have read almost most of it, half of it. I guess
it's a good one.
That being in the now wasn't. No, I don't know what happened.
It wasn't. It wasn't right now.
I feel like I got the gist.
Well, I mean, that was a huge part of it, was learning how to be by myself and deal with the things that are not so easy to deal with. We all have a long life and history, even up to this point where we're only in our 30s. There's still this long path up until now. And when I was feeling my most ill, It was the challenge to work on my mental state and my emotional state and my spiritual state that got me through. The rest of it took a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're nurturing your body into cellular regeneration or your gastrointestinal system into, recuperating from being ill, that takes time.
Yeah, it took
But
me a while too.
exactly.
The
I mean, it
gastro
took me
part.
almost a year to feel physically well. But I realized in that time I could be working on things that needed to be dealt with for me
The
to
total
maintain
health.
health.
So it sounds like, because we do tend to focus on one category, and sometimes
Yes.
one category screams out at us, and it's like,
true.
dude, physically you need this, or
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually something's going on,
Yes.
and we can't be 100% at everything, and we can't feel like, oh well, we're not. You can't be chasing, at the same time. But I believe the balance is we're here, we don't not try, right? There's no point in that. Then you're just going to end up, who knows where you're going to go. But we don't exert ourselves to the point and focus so heavily on what the outcome is going to be that we can't experience what's going on today and in the moment.
Exactly.
And so for me, I feel like a lot of people talk about with the way that I eat. They say, well, you're going to die one day anyway, so who cares? And I'm like, it's not about preventing myself from dying.
No.
I know I'm going to die. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I want my years to be as full and as rich as possible so I can spend time with probably whoever said that to me. You know, I want to have the best time and the most rich experiences, and it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to have things come up. I'm not dumb enough to think that I'm avoiding everything,
Right.
but I'm trying to avoid the diseases that would prevent me from having an enjoyable life where I can figure out what is it that I want to give back to this world,
Exactly.
And
Living
we're doing it all the
consciously.
time. We're doing it all the time, even when we don't realize it, but when we become conscious of it, we see those opportunities, and we are more motivated to grow, I think, than if we just were like, floating down the river, like I said, just whatever happens, It's a little too loose for me.
Yeah, it ties into a part of the philosophy of my massage therapy practice, my wellness practice, Dragonfly Conscious Health. It's about living consciously, taking control over your health experience, seeing it in a full spectrum light, so it isn't just this obsession with health and wellness in the most cheesy traditional terms, or it's not this obsession with diet and exercise, but it is a conscious effort to live in a way that will give you the fullest life and have the most full impact on the people that you are surrounded with and that you interact with on a regular basis, in a way that you can contribute the most to the world at large. So learning how to be in charge of your own health. And again, coming right back to going inside yourself and having to deal with yourself a little bit, dealing with emotions, dealing with mental stress, dealing with the physical parts of ourselves that we ignore.
And I just made a connection because, like you said, right when you decided that you wanted to go solo, you were forced to go within and to be more solo than you ever had been before. And it was like this initial test almost for you to allow yourself to do it. It's like you were almost like pushed into it in some ways, even though you'd already made the decision. The universe was like, oh, you said you wanted that? Let's make it happen. A little differently than you probably thought it was going to happen. But I'm preparing you in this way that looks like it's so backwards, but in reality, this is all going to work out.
Every path that is meant for us will find us, and I'm a firm believer in the idea that we can either be running full force toward our destiny or life path or whatever you want to call it. We can either run full force toward it through the meadow and get a slow hug or whatever, a slow motion hug going, or we can sit and wait for it. And sitting and waiting for it is the first way to get it in the most uncomfortable way you can possibly imagine. But that path is going to find you either way.
That's
You're
true.
either going to love the journey or you're going to really dislike the
That's
journey.
so true.
But you're still going to get that lesson.
All I can ever think about is just being on the French Broad River and being in the tubes. So everybody goes tubing in Asheville in the summer, which right now sounds like a really good idea because it's super hot. But we're going to let that idea go for now. But I just remember these times in my life where I just stopped. I talked so much about being busy, and I still was, but it was like everything that came to me, I thought that I was reacting. I wasn't
responsible.
Yes.
I was reacting. It was the wrong art. I was just like, but at that time, that was what I was capable of. That was the lessons I needed to learn, and I just found myself, like I said, floating down the stream, and like anything that happened, oh yeah, whatever, like to the point where like one day I did wake up, and maybe it wasn't even one day, maybe I was partially aware along it, but I'm like, wait, like how did
I get here? Yeah,
how did all this happen? And that was one of my biggest fears growing up. And so, you have to face those fears sometimes. You have to see them in the face, and it allows me to understand, of course, other people going through that. If I ever go through that again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to know what's going to happen next, but I feel like I really learned a lot from that, and like that perfect balance between control and like not giving a not being so controlling, because that's another thing. But it's time. Like I really feel like I've been able to find that balance in my life for the most part, and like every day it doesn't work out perfectly, but that's one of the things I would say I'm the most happiest about is the ability to have a sense of balance and a sense of freedom in the way that my lifestyle is.
That has meant like so much in life. Just being able to schedule it or not schedule it.
Yes.
Say no to things.
Yes.
Set boundaries. Having the freedom of your own schedule is one of the best and most effective ways that I've been able to take charge of my own health. And it was not easy.
Right.
I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, y'all. It ain't easy. But it is something that if you can get yourself to that point where you have the ability to take out chunks of time where you need them, it's going to make a profound effect on your life. And this goes to 9 to 5ers or, 7 to 7ers or whatever you are, there's even 2 minutes a day that you're going to get every day at 5:30 in the morning or at 3 in the afternoon. I know I'm getting my 2 minutes. That can change your life, and that can put you in a conscious state of health where you're in charge of how you begin to feel good, and you kind of step away from the idea of outsourcing your health to a professional who's just going to fix it for you.
Right. And like what I've learned is they can be a part of my assessment, but if I don't become basically if I'm not fully aware of what's going on and I'm not really, really, really involved in that and like being the director of my own health, then I'm going to get directed in places and not know where I went again. Same thing. And so this is what I've dealt with, is really making sure I ask the questions over and over again until I get the answers to whatever the question is. I will find out. They're not going to tell me everything that I need to know.
How can we know what you need to know?
Exactly.
No one knows but you.
I have to be the advocate for myself.
But you're right. You're exactly right. That is like one of my central focuses when it comes to working with other people, is just imploring people to understand that you are in charge of your own health. You are in charge. Any professional or practitioner you work with is a consultant with a large body of knowledge in their particular area, so that you don't have to go get a doctor's or a medical degree and become a massage therapist and become a yoga teacher and a PT in order to have a full spectrum understanding of what your needs are. You have these consultants, but you're the boss.
Totally.
There is no outsourcing. Like you said, you come away from that idea of, okay, just tell me what I need, give me what I need, I'll get out of here, to, like you said, wanting to learn from practitioners and wanting to understand your needs and wanting to articulate your needs and set boundaries with your practitioners as if they're your partners or your consultants. That's what it's all about.
Totally.
Nobody is the end all be all of your health except for you.
Yes.
Except for you. You got to put a lens on your life, man. You got to you have to do the work. We can't do it for you. Even with all how many ever degrees a person has. And how much knowledge they may or may not have in biology, physiology, allopathic medicine, naturopathic medicine, it doesn't matter. No one can tell you what will resonate. You're the only one who knows. So you have to become active in your journey. Deal with yourself and figure out what your needs really are and be honest about them, and then start nurturing your...
Like listening to other people and learning from them, but ultimately being aware.
Yes.
And that's something that is what it's all about.
Yes.
And like the whole time we're sitting here, like I just want to bring this to everyone's attention, but like I could feel my shoulders like wanting to come forward from all those years on the computer. And like sometimes that really hurts to think about, because like even when I learned that even when I get out of my chair, I'm still sitting, because my body my body thinks we're still sitting. My body still is shaped in that seat. And so, you know, I'm just happy that I have found so much through like our community in Asheville. You know, I think it's really important for me to mention that, you know, I mentioned two main things that really helped me get total health, but the third main thing is finding a movement practice that inspired the crap out of me. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Like, booty yoga is literally a life changer for people, and it affects people in a different way. But for me, it's like, I now have a reason to get off the computer. And I really feel that I was asking for something to get me off of the computer, and like nothing was working, because I'm like, oh, I gotta be here, I gotta work.
And you keep giving yourself that distraction, even though it's something you have to get done.
It, dude. Like, you're so used to it. Like, even now, my body still defaults to the seat because I'm really in the beginning of this. I mean, really, truly. So, but what's really helped me is having a community of people that I actually really, really, really like. These vibrant people like you and Cynthia and all these people in the Asheville Booty Yoga community, swear to you, like, y'all are like my second family. Like, you all are like y'all help me leave my little room and experience life, and it's made my life so much more full, and it's made it it's not just, you know, some kind of like exercise. It's amazing. It's actually one of the best exercises I could ever like imagine doing. But it has changed my ability to connect with people and my belief in humankind, honestly. Like, the fact that y'all exist means that this is a good world.
Yes. Truly. Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. But I've gotten the exact same thing from booty yoga practice, and I've also it's also helped me in the journey of being more honest with myself, and in doing so, being more honest with the outside world, and being more honest in my offerings, giving more of my authentic self than a calculated self or a persona or what I think people want from me, knowing when to set boundaries and say no, knowing how to relate to other people, creating strong, beautiful bonds with other people, other women especially.
Yeah, it's like we're all each other's role models.
Exactly.
So like,
full spectrum health will become available to you. It'll just become a part of life, thus becoming a lifestyle. It's not so much a aesthetic or cosmetic journey. It is definitely a deep inward journey, finding a healthy lifestyle that you can maintain, that feels like life and doesn't feel like a style of life. You know?
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I feel like just even talking about all this has really made me feel a sense of vibrancy and excitement for everything, and gratitude for everything that I already have. So excited to talk more in the future. You and I talk every day anyway, so we're going to keep the conversation going whether or not, you know, anybody else is there. We're just going to keep going. But, you know, thank you so much for being here to talk with me and to share your light with everybody else, because my God, you shine bright, and it's really just, I can't keep it all to myself. I'm like, what's up, world? You gotta meet Sherry, you know?
Oh man, it's an absolute honor. Thank you for having me as a guest, as your first guest. I'm beyond humbled. You are just a winner in every sense of the word. A true sweetheart.
Thought you were gonna say thug.
You are a true thug too.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Yes, you are a true thug. You're the realist.
Oh my God.
And it's just been a pleasure getting to know you, getting to understand you, getting to help you in your health journey. It's helped to teach me things about my own health journey that I didn't maybe even realize that I needed to know, and help me go a little bit deeper so that I could bring honest offerings to you and everyone else that we impact in our yoga practice. So thank you for having me. This is just a blast. I hope that our open talk here has helped to either convince or encourage you guys out there to just find what works for you. Don't outsource it. Get really, really comfortable being uncomfortable. until you find the answers inside yourself. Take a good look at your life and be steadfast in finding the true health for yourself, because nobody can do it for you.
We're definitely like
rooting for you to be brave with your life,
Yes,
as we
you
seek
can
to
do
be
it.
brave with our lives. For
Yes,
sure.
yes.
So this has definitely been a truth talk.
Yes.
And I just
Gotta
want to thank
keep it real.
everybody for, letting us give it to you on the realness, because this is what we like to do. So thank you all so much, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much.
It's like, we're like, we can't wait. We need to go. So good.
I love you so much.
You're
That
the
was so
best.
fun.